Hello everyone, and welcome to Improve Your Chess. I will be doing a lot to help you improve your chess for sure. I am FIDE Master Noam Wittenberg, and I am very ambitious about chess myself. In this video, I have the pleasure to show you a beautiful masterpiece of squeezing out a small advantage by Ian Nepomniatchi with the white pieces against Ding Liren with the black pieces. Ian Nepomniatchi began with e4, as he often does. Ding Liren replied with e5, which is also one of the biggest moves in his repertoire. In fact, he is known for having a very narrow repertoire, almost only playing e5. Ian Nepomniatchi played knight f3, Ding played knight c6, and then Nepomniatchi went for the Spanish. Ding Liren played a6, bishop a4, knight f6. So far, this is the main line of chess, you might say. White played castles, bishop e7, and now Ian Nepomniatchi played the slightly rare move d3. Rook e1 is the more common move, and after b5, bishop b3, I would like to briefly mention that castles is the most accurate move, as after d6, which according to Grandmaster Frode Urkedal is a big mistake for black, because now black doesn't have the marshal as he would after castles c3, d5. Ian Nepomniatchi played d3, however. Ding Liren played bishop b3, d6, and Ian Nepomniatchi played a3, which is one of the most common moves, along with c3 and a4. Castles, knight c3, knight a5. Now we see a point of a3 to give the bishop a flight square on a2 in case the knight on a5 would try to take it. Ding Liren played bishop e6, b4, bishop takes a2, rook takes a2, knight takes a2 is very similar because the rook is slightly misplaced on a2 and you often move it back to a1 or to b2 as in this game. However, knight on e2 would also be a bit misplaced and most likely would also move back to c3. Rook takes a2 followed, knight c6, bishop g5. This is still Ian Nepomniatchi's preparation and he has spent very little time on every move. The maximum he spent was a little over a minute. On the rest of the moves he has spent below 30 seconds. Queen d7 was played, and here Ian Nepomniatchi made a very good move positionally. Bishop takes f6. Ding Liren played bishop takes f6, and now we see that black's bishop is perhaps not very good, as black's pawn chain from c7, d6, e5 are all on dark squares. So black's bishop is struggling to find an active position. Ian Nepomniatchi played knight d5, Ding Liren played a5, and here a novelty was played by Ian Nepomniatchi, rook b2, which after a takes b gives up the a file. However, it's very difficult for black to use it, as the a file really only matters, or any file in general, if you are able to penetrate your opponent's position, and here you're not able to play rook a2 nor rook a1. Ding Liren played bishop d8, so that he would never have to think about the move knight takes f6, g takes f6, which of course, if white was to play it right away here, black might have time to play queen g4 with the idea of f5 or d5. However, if black does a random move here, let's say rook b8, and perhaps something like this could be interesting, where black's pawn structure is worse and black is unable to play f5. Ding Liren therefore played bishop d8, c4 followed, and here Ding Liren played knight d4. A pretty big confirmation. Knight e7 would maybe have been simpler, as after knight d4, knight takes d4, pawn takes d4. Ian Nepomniatchi played queen c2. This knight has very good potential over black's dark squared bishop. Rook e8 followed in the game. g3. I would like to note that the move g3 is a move which improves white's position. According to Grandmaster and the ex-champion Vladimir Kramnik, g3, king g2 is an improvement to every single position. This of course implies if black is not able to get an attack directly from this, or if it's too many pieces on the board. Pawn takes c4, queen takes c4. Here, the computer spots an interesting idea, b5, but this is very unhuman to play this way, not capturing the pawn back. In video lectures made by Mark Dvoretsky, who sadly passed away, he talks about a book, the 7 Deadly Sins of Chess, and one of the sins is materialism. It's very hard not to take the pawn back on c4. Queen takes c4 followed in the game, but pawn takes c4 is also interesting, with the idea that after c6, knight f4, white might be able to get a good knight on d3. However, black also has an interesting idea in these positions. If white just makes some kind of move, just because that's important. Simply want to show the idea that after knight d3, black is able to play bishop e3. So here the bishop is much better than it is on d8 for sure. So Ian Nepomniatchi played queen takes c4 in the game. Ding Liren played c6, knight f4, bishop g5, knight e2, and d5. This is a very big concession by black, as after e takes d, c takes d, white seems to simply have a pawn extra on b4. Queen b3 was played in the game. You can't take on d4 due to bishop f6. h5 followed. Ding Liren is trying to use his slight spatial advantage. Black's d-pawns are pushed slightly further than white's to attack on the king side. But this attack is quite slow. Ian Nepomniatchi played b5. Ding Liren strikes with h4, b6, and here Ding Liren pushes his h-pawn, yet another square. Simon Williams would have been very proud. This move creates the checkmate idea of queen g2 in some positions, but also confirms a lot, as now black no longer has tension on white's positions. King h1 is played, with the idea of going knight g1 in some positions, taking control of the f3 square. Rook b8 is played in the game. I would like to mention a beautiful tactic which Nepomniatchi did not fall for, and Ding Liren realized it wasn't good. Rook takes e2, with the idea that after rook takes e2, queen g4, f3 gives black a very good move. If you want to, please stop the video and find out how black will win this game. Alright, black had queen takes f3. So beautiful, with the idea that after rook takes f3, there comes rook a1, and white gives up all their pieces on the first rank and is then checkmated. However, white has queen takes d5, and that's the end of the game. White wins. So rook eb8 was played. Rook fb1 defending the pawn on b6. Bishop d8 putting pressure against it. And here Ian Nepomniatchi fought for a very long time, which is very rare for him. He was thinking if he should go for queen b5 or b7. After b7, I would like to mention that the rook endgame with rook a7, knight f4, rook takes b7, not rook endgame, sorry. Black gets two rooks, sorry, white gets two rooks and black gets a queen. Queen takes b7, rook takes b7, rook takes b7. Black has to play queen d6 to not lose the bishop. Knight takes h3. This endgame here is absolutely horrible for black and is a technical win for white. Ian Nepomniatchi went for queen b5. Now queen takes b5 is agreeing to a lost endgame, as Ian Nepomniatchi later said when analyzing the game. Queen g4 was played in the game, and after queen f5, knight takes d4, queen f6. b7 comes, rook a5, and here I would like to show a beautiful idea white has. Queen d7, queen takes d4. If you want to, stop the video and find out how white wins this game in an absolutely computer-like manner. Alright, white has rook e2 with the idea of rook e8. And if the bishop moves, you have queen c8. So after queen takes d3, rook e8, king h7, queen takes h3, king g6, queen g4, king h6, then there is rook h8, king h7, then there is mate to follow, and after king f6 you have rook c1, another calm move with the idea of rook c6, or bishop g5 when you have rook d1, threatening the queen. Black has the interesting resource rook a1 with the idea of taking on a e8 after white takes on a1 and then h4. White has h4 here, of course, which enables him to get the winning advantage due to the pawn on b7. However, Ding Liren went for queen g4 in the game, and here Ian Nepomniatchi fought for quite some time again to decide which winning continuation he would go for. Played queen takes d5 in the game, but queen e8, king h7, queen takes f7 would perhaps have been even better, as now white can choose between f3 or knight g1 and black's position soon collapses. Rook a5 was played in the game, simply hanging the rook. But if queen takes a5, then black would have queen f3 followed by queen g2 mate, which is, I guess, one of the benefits of having your pawn on h3. White played queen c6. In fact, white had to go for f3 going into this winning endgame. But queen c6 would have been an even better move if black wouldn't have had an absolutely study-like continuation, which would lead to a drawn position. If you want to, feel free to stop the video and look for this amazing continuation. If you're able to see it, then you've worked very hard to be able to see such things. Alright, black has rook takes b6. Rook takes b6. If bishop takes b6, white plays f3 and is able to consolidate. After queen g5, knight f4 makes sense. Maybe you can take on b6 too. But many moves are winning. However, black has the tricky queen takes e2, very unexpected, as it seems as though white is simply winning with the move rook b8, winning black's bishop and ending up being a simple rook up. But white has rook e5. This move deserves 3 exclamation marks, as after rook takes d8, king h7, it turns out that both rook g1, queen takes f2, and if white goes for the tempting idea of queen e8, then black is able to play rook e1. And if now white starts to hunt black's king, the hunt will shortly end. White has no checks and no way to stop mating threats, even though white is an entire rook up. So in fact, white should play rook h8, king takes h8, queen c8, king h7, queen takes h3, check, getting rid of the very important pawn. King g6, king g1, here black takes this pawn, and white gets some perpetual somewhere, so it's a draw. But in the disastrous shape Ding is during this tournament, it's not really surprising that he wasn't able to spot rook takes b6. Also in the press conference, Ian Nepomniatchi said that it's very difficult for a human to find. Rook c5 was played in the game by Ding Liren, queen e8 check, king h7, knight g8, knight g1. Rook takes b6, queen takes d8. Now white has been able to win a piece, and after rook takes b2, rook takes b2, rook c1, threatening if it would have been black to move, black would have won the game by rook takes g1, but white has the only move, queen h4, getting the queens off the board so that black no longer has mating ideas. However, after queen takes h4, pawn takes h4, rook d1, it might almost seem as though it's difficult for white to improve their position, because white's knight is pinned and white's king can't move. However, Ian Nepomniatchi played a very technical f3 with the idea that after a king move, white now has rook d4, winning the d pawn, so black has to take on d3, and now white is able to get the knight and king out, and in this position Ding Liren resigned as he was a knight down. Thank you for watching this video, and many more to come.